Blue Shadow here with Christopher Roma of Roma Aquatics. We're down in his basement here, taking a look at this mean ass shrimp room. And as I say, it goes on.
It's not mean, it's happy.
It is happy, but it's quite extensive. And here, we're here to talk about mainly these guys right here. Black King Kongs and pandas and everything else. How long have you had this line here, Chris?
This one maybe, definitely under a year, but probably approaching a year. I'd have to check. Not super long time, but they're doing fantastic for me. Definitely one of the most prolific breeders in the room, for sure.
Yeah. What kind of kids do you get out of them? Do you get everything or?
They're actually fairly stable. I mean, the Black King Kong line in general, they can produce any Taiwan B variant, meaning that they could do Red King Kong, Black King Kongs, or Red Bolts or Blue Bolts, and any variation of the different patterns between those, meaning your shadows, your one stripe, your two stripes, your 1.5 stripes, your extremes.
Yeah, but how many of those do you actually get out of your lineage?
Out of this lineage is very pretty pure, and that goes for both my Red King Kongs and my Black King Kongs. I got them both from Plamsky, and I love them. My blacks so far have produced, I'd have to say over 1,000. I think I started with 12 pandas and 2 extremes, if I remember correctly, which I'm probably not. But if you want, go check out my videos on RomaAquatics.com, and you could call me out for being a liar if I'm wrong. Call me out in the comments.
I definitely say check out Roma Aquatics. He's got a bunch of videos. It's a good way to learn, see some neat stuff.
But anyways, I didn't really answer the question.
Oh,
so
sorry.
The original tank upstairs was where I started with the original. It was definitely under 20. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks of the Black King Kongs, the tank that you're looking at now. I believe it's a 29, but it's a do-it-yourself homemade tank, so I don't know exactly, and I never really measured. But they're in there. There's a 55 column upstairs. There's and 2 10-gallons. One of the 10s over here. There's 12 Extreme King Kongs, nothing but extremes in that tank.
That's this guy right here?
Yep. So those are Extreme King Kongs. There's 12 juveniles in there that I pulled from the tank upstairs. So once they grow up, I'll have a colony of pure extremes. And then I'm planning on doing culling to keep it purely extremes. So basically that means anything in this tank that's born of these shrimp that is not an extreme pattern, meaning if it has any white besides the little bit on the tail, is going to get culled out of the tank and put into either sold or put into one of the other King Kong tanks. So that's going to be the highest grade right there. Those are the extremes.
What other ones do they tend to throw for you?
They have, I got sidetracked again. So the tank upstairs has produced probably over 1,000 shrimp for me, probably over 1,000 King Kongs. And out of over these 1,000 King Kongs, I have not gotten a single blue bolt, and I have gotten 4 red King Kong shadow pandas.
Only 4?
Not shadow pandas. Only 4 red King Kong. So that's pretty pure, and I wouldn't say that's necessarily normal for Black King Kong. Normally you're going to see more red and you're going to see more blue bolts out of them. And I'm not necessarily actually 100% sure on that blue bolt comment because I recently just got some blue bolts. I got blue bolts in the past when I was a noob and I wasn't able to keep them alive, unfortunately. But I recently acquired some from Flip Aquatics, maybe 2 months ago. So I'm going to give them another shot. So I've never actually had a mixed tank with blue bolts and Black King Kongs, so I have no comment. But I do find or believe that if you're mixing blue bolts and Black King Kongs, you're going to see about an even mixture of both in the babies. And if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. But yeah, very pure black line. As far as not seeing very too much red pop out. Normally you see more
You can
red.
talk louder. It's okay.
Yeah, normally you see more reds. So over there's the ones that I pulled out that I found a little bit more blue. Those can be referred to as shadow pandas. Those aren't the bluest of the blue, and they do change. I found so when I pulled them, they looked a little bit bluer, and then I put them in here, and I think it stressed them out a little bit, and they haven't come all the way back to a blue color. And I've also noticed in my tank upstairs that has two of my original shadow pandas that I created by mixing my original blue bolts that I got from Robert Jackson. So they had really nice deep blue gene, and I mixed it with a just run-of-the-mill average panda. So I got some average looking shadow pandas, not the greatest out of it, but they do carry some really nice genes. So I'm working with them, trying to get the blue out of them. And that's the story behind that tank. And
Nice.
also when they're buried up, it is especially right before they're about to throw, like when the babies are right about ready to hatch, the blue is very like deep, much deeper than it is throughout the rest of the month, I've noticed.
Now, do you have any other tanks that came from this line, or just the 3 down here?
Just the 3 down here and the 55 upstairs.
Nice. Now, I know with the Caradinas, they throw things a little different. They tend to toss you guys in a loop. However, is there a way of distinguishing the males from the females?
It's not foolproof. I wouldn't. I want to say yes, they are sexable, but they're tricky. They've tricked me. The easiest way is if they're
Buried.
Well, buried.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's by far the easiest way. If they're holding berries under their tail, which means they have the eggs. If they have the eggs, yeah, definitely a female. I like to clarify when we use terms that not everyone
Is aware of, yeah.
exactly, in case this is someone's first experience watching a shrimp video and they know nothing and they're like, what the heck does buried mean? So I like to clarify when we use shrimp terminology whenever I catch myself using shrimp terminology.
Now, let me try to find that one I just saw here. I know you know this.
Hold on, I didn't even answer.
Oh.
We keep moving on. So buried is the first way. The next way is the shape of their undercarriage.
Yep.
So basically,
I'm pretty sure I have the female here, the one with the blue tinge but mostly white.
Yep. So if you look at her undercarriage there, where she would be holding the eggs, the females, the shell comes down and curves a little bit lower to actually protect the eggs while they're carrying them. So that's one way to tell. You could also tell by antenna length, I've heard, but I've never used that method, so I'm not sure. I can't really comment more on that, but I have heard it's actually more reliable than the shape of the shell method. But neither method is foolproof, and I have been fooled before. So.
And then with males,
The males, they tend to be a little bit more curvy on the tail, a little thinner. There's nothing to protect. You can generally see, basically looks like like a cocktail shrimp, where you basically just have the shrimp meat and the swimmerettes, and there's not really much shell coming down to protect. You're looking for a good male example? Yeah.
yeah, they seem to be moving around quite actively today.
Yeah, I gave them, so this morning I fed them some, actually not even this morning, it was this afternoon, I gave them some Shrimp Haven, Shrimp Art Baby Blast, which is a German premium food from Shrimp Boutique.
Which is actually pretty good because I actually just got my order in today, which is pretty nice.
It's good stuff. I feed a lot of different foods. I don't always feed just shrimp art stuff or whatever, but it's really good food. They're a pretty good company.
Nice. Now, you deal in more than just one type of Caradina.
I have multiple types. I was trying to collect them all like Pokemon, but it's almost unfeasible. Basically, like, you can't cycle a tank fast enough before there's another one that you didn't even know existed. Like, I almost pulled the trigger on Shrimp Fever, just got some Emperor bees in. and I didn't even know they existed. They're a type of paracaridina. They remind me of the super princesses and the blue bees.
Yeah. You know, these are some neat ones here. I'm not sure what they are.
Up here are Aurora Reds. Not many people have these. I got these from Daniel Johnson. They are a cross between red tufels, which are a type of wild tiger serrata. So kind of like Aurora blue tigers and tangerine tigers on the same line of the red tufel, and they're crossed with snow whites, and they're called Aurora Reds. Over
Fish
here we
bones.
have some white ghost bees. Down there we have
Ghost bees here.
yeah, these are white ghost bees. I have 2 tanks of those. Those came from Eric Lucas. Down there, those are fish bones. Just your normal grades, not high quality or anything, except for the black one. The black one came from.
Oh, there's the black one.
Yeah, she came.
She
from
blends in sometimes.
Yeah, she came from Selene, and she is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. All the rest of them came from Roby Chan. They are also gorgeous, but they are normal grade, and the black one is high grade.
Get some crystal reds.
Those are my crystal reds. Those are my pride and joys right there. I love my crystal reds.
Let alone you got a couple here. They have that circle on the back. What are those called again?
There can be, if they have a little slit in them, they call them no entries, like a no entry sign when you're driving, a do not enter sign. And they also go by, I think, Hiramoto,
Yeah.
if I'm saying that correctly. It's basically named after the Japanese flag, the white, with the red circle on the white background. Those are orange eye red tigers. They came from Plamsky through Nico. I was lucky enough that Nico brought them as a gift for Plamsky to the aquatic experience. And Plamsky's mixed fortune of not having enough tank space for them ended up being my fortune, because he put them up for auction and I could not resist being the high bidder.
Nice.
So they must be mine. Those are all golden bees. Those came from my crystals. My crystals don't throw many. Everything in that tank has been thrown by my crystals. And that's pretty much all I have to say about them. They're awesome. They haven't been breeding for me. I'm thinking about switching up the tank. So those are the extreme black King Kongs again.
Yeah. Got one of them that's finally out.
Yeah, they're usually out a lot more, but since I fed the powder food today, they're all
scattered.
They're all scattered and hanging out pretty much everywhere. We got some yellow King Kong.
Oh, yellow King Kongs.
Those came from Josh Cull. They're breeding like crazy. I actually started a second 20-gallon of them. And I just got those, I'd say, 5 months ago.
Now, what are the white pieces in the gravel, in case people don't know?
Snowflake food.
Is that also from Shrimp Art?
That is from Shrimp Art. You can get Shrimp Art. They sell Snowflake Plus, which I don't know what the plus is, but it's
trace minerals and calcium and something else.
Extra stuff. The Snowflake you can get from pretty much any company, and it's basically just compressed soybean hulls, which is like the shells from soybeans.
These are pretty.
Those are red fancy tigers, and they should be pretty because I'm not going to disclose the price on them, but they were pricey. They came from award-winning championships from the aquatic experience through Mr. Ho's line.
Nice. Trying to get it to focus properly so we can.
Fancy red tigers. Those are beautiful. And people often ask what makes them so expensive, and how can you tell a cull from a good one? And my man Carbon Chen explained it the best, and he said it's basically, you can't put it into words, but it's like a priceless work of art. When you see it, you know it, and you know its beauty, and you judge its pattern not by its complexity, but by its balance and harmony.
So hard to get the focus on that one.
So beautiful. Those are Aurora Blue Tigers. Those came from Selene. They were handpicked by Selene for me. Unfortunately, I think I got all tigers. There was a lot of them. They spent a lot of time in the bag because I got them from Aquatics Flip Aquatics brought them to Aquatic Experience for me, but Celine handpicked them in Taiwan for me, sent them to Flip, and Flip brought them to me. So they were in the bag for, I think, 8 or 9 days.
Nice.
But I ended up losing a bunch of them, and I think I'm left with only males, which is disappointing.
Nothing in the new tanks yet. Those are cycling and getting ready.
8 tanks cycling, getting ready. They just got a little bit of barley bit, a little bit of snowflake, a little bit of CMO, some filters, some choya, some tang.
Yeah. The keep it simple method.
The top tank up there is Princess Bees in it. Unfortunately, no light on that tank because you can see the background. There's a window. Gets lots of natural light on that top row there. So I actually don't think I'm planning on even putting a light on that top row.
So hard to. Oh, here's one up front, but is there a glare?
Push the light back on the bottom shelf below it.
No.
No, it might be from behind you. That's the problem with having everything in one area. There's so much glare in this room. I need to get a camera on a pole that I can just put right into the tank. And then I don't gotta worry about the glare because the camera's in the water.
Man, these are some nice racks, Chris.
I know, aren't they?
You must have had some good help.
Yeah, I know. I think I've heard that more than Pam Anderson.
Now, if you guys aren't familiar, check out Chris's channel. He definitely has a few videos on building these racks and the expansion of this room.
More than one. You could watch every single video from my first rack that I built that originally had 8 tanks on it. My first video I ever made, approximately 2 years ago, I only had 2 fish tanks in the house. So
Wow.
I've grown quite a bit in 2 years.
Now, these kind of look like the Crystal Reds, but they're black. That's the PRL or
Those
PBLs?
Are PBLs, so pure black lines. And basically what that means is they are pure, they've never been mixed with a golden bee. So the difference between a crystal black shrimp and a pure black line is the pure black line is pure because it doesn't have golden bee genetics mixed in. And that goes the same for crystal red shrimp and pure red line shrimp.
Nice.
So pure red line will never throw a black, and they will never throw a white pure golden shrimp. They may throw a snow white,
There's one.
but it will take a hell of a lot of selective breeding.
These guys are pretty too.
So
Tigers?
those are normal red tigers. So those are the same as the orange eye, except they don't have the orange eye. Those came from Jeff Lidberg. I got them quite a while ago, and they've been reproducing like crazy for me. So
Nice.
very happy with them.
Oh, these guys.
Those. You like them?
They kind of look a lot like the pandas, but they're not.
Oh, well, that right there is a panda.
Oh. Oh, is this the project tank?
What happened was, Brandon Birdwell brought some tank ties to Aquatic Experience that he was planning on giving away to the winner. He was having a bunch of people sign his poster. But long story short, he didn't get as many signatures and the auction didn't end up happening. So right before we were heading out, he asked me if I wanted them. And I said, yeah. And I asked him what the lineage was. And he said very heavy tangerine tiger lineage, but there is a little bit of Taiwan bee mixed in. So basically they are, I couldn't claim them as tangerine tigers, even though if you look, the one on camera right now basically looks like an exact, it's a tangerine tiger. You can't see it has any Taiwan bee, where if you go to the one by the choya wood,
Let's see
a little
here.
bit from right there, that one you could see how it has the white from the Taiwan bee a little bit. So that's definitely a tang tie. But since they're mixed together, I can't say, I don't know which ones don't have
That gene,
Just because they're not showing the phenotype doesn't mean they're not carrying the gene. So basically, to me, they were all tang ties, and I said, "Hey, I have one pinto. Well, not pinto. It was a pinto cull, so I guess it was a Tai bee. So one Tai bee, and I'm gonna throw them in with the tang ties, which basically after one generation, then they would be Tai bee because you miss a tang tie with Taiwan bee, they become Tai bee."
Oh, I hear
But
ya.
yeah, mouthfuls. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine because
You'll learn.
it took me about 2 years for any of that to make any sense. But it's finally clicking. But basically, I added another pure Taiwan bee in here because there's such heavy tiger genes in here. I want to
To
get
even
some
them
more,
out.
you get a little bit more Taiwan bee gene in there. And then the pintos I threw in there too. Just a couple pintos. These are Santas.
Santas. Yeah.
Super crystal reds with, they look like a Santa hat. Like they have the fluff on the tail and the fluff on the head. So it looks like the ball of the little Santa hat and the fluff around the brim. Very cool. Some people call them Santas. Some people call them Santa caps. Santa hats. But basically they're highest grade super crystal red. Those came from Vinline, which were championship winners, actually.
Oh, nice.
Brandon Birdwell's actually placed second place for his super crystals this year at Aquatic Experience. Those are blue dream shrimp. Those came from Saikong, and those were actually a trade for some crystal shrimp or some pure redline, one of the two. I don't remember. The trade happened a long time ago.
Nice. They're very deep blue. Like.
Oh yeah, I call them my nightmares. They're super nice, and it's very it's crazy actually because the survival rate on that tank is not that great, but the ones I find the ones that do survive are the dark ones. It seems like they're self-culling. You know, it's very weird.
Yeah.
The tank is self-culling. Like the clear ones don't end up living, which is it's very odd, that tank. And there's some random moss in that tank. If you look on the filter, there's some moss growing on the top of it. If anyone wants to ID that moss for me, it came with some of my shrimp, and it's pretty. I got a couple types of moss. In my non-sea tank, there's some moss that I'd like to ID on as well.
Man.
Even
Feel like I've been going forever, and there's still more to go.
There are shrimp in those tanks, quite a bit. I actually just don't. So there's the second yellow King Kong tank that I just started recently, from because I had excess. They're starting to breed enough.
There's juvies too.
Yep, I tried to get a handful of adults and maybe 10, 20 juvies. The juvies there's some that are really, really tiny in there too. So.
Nice.
The 3 tanks that are blacked out are above. I got a light for them, but I stole their light for the new tanks. So their light will get replaced. But in those tanks, there's more blue dreams, some orange eye red ghosts, and my second Bavolti tank.
Oh, nice.
So there's the red King Kongs from Plamski, very gorgeous, also breeding. Those guys actually have bred 100% pure. They haven't even thrown any black for me yet. But I haven't, that's the only tank I have of those. I got them about 3 months ago. Not too long ago, but definitely after I got the blacks. But they're gorgeous, they're breeding pretty well, and I definitely 2 or 3 of those new tanks that I set up are reserved for the babies from that tank.
Nice. Now we got this big guy here that I know you've done a lot of pruning and trimming back.
That tank was the bane of my existence forever, but it broke my heart just having a 75-gallon tank sitting there doing nothing, basically just wasting away, being my... Anytime I had some extra subwasser tank or a plant that overgrew, ended up just getting thrown into that tank. And then eventually, once the tank got about halfway evaporated with water, where there was only half the water in it, I said, I gotta do something with this. And I finally got the motivation to clean it up and drain it, redrain it, fill it up, redrain it, drain it, fill it up, redrain it, fill it with RO, remineralize it for Silhouette, get the apron on there, get the heater in there, slowly ramp up that temperature, get some SEMO in there, and now we're going to wait, and it'll be a Silhouette tank in a couple months.
Nice.
Those guys are my, Missouri only crystal reds. So they're bred for pattern and color, but there's a couple of them there that they're called flower head patterns. They were the exception to the rule for the good color because their pattern was so exceptional. I made an exception for their color, but generally that tank was going for both color and pattern.
Oh, we're back at the shadows.
Shadow pandas. Yeah, they will eventually. I'm gonna pull the mother that they came from out of the tank upstairs and rebreed the children back with the mother to try to express that blue green a little bit more. That's the plan with those. And
Funny
even mix some of these extreme blue bolts in if I get enough of them later. This is a orange eye royal blue tiger tank. There's only about 12 really small juvies in here.
Yeah.
I just started this tank maybe 2 weeks ago. We'll get to my main royal blue tiger tanks, but this is one of the backups that I just started because I plan on having multiple tanks of them. But
They're so small.
they're so tiny. But that's what generally I found this, if you're gonna move shrimp, move them when they're small. They're gonna have a better likelihood of surviving, even if the parameters are exactly the same. Those are my blue beak paracaridina. Those are one of my prize shrimp. I love them. They're not.
These are the color changers, right?
Yeah, they pretty much more. They can be brown, blue, but generally, I found they're starting to stay blue for me.
Nice.
I don't know if they're just adapting and they're bluing out, but they're getting gored. They're gored. Those are one of my babies. I plan on moving them. Not the shrimp. I'm gonna move the whole tank.
Oh, wow.
Drain 3/4 of the water and move the tank onto the new rack. Because I want them eye level. I don't like them being. No one puts baby in the corner and you're in the corner. That's another tank of all Missouri crystal red shrimp. If you can't tell, my crystal reds, they were one of the first Carolina I ever got, and they're doing very, very well. So I actually had enough of the Missouri pattern, which is actually one of the highest grade patterns you can get. I had enough of just the high grade pattern to start 2 other tanks of just the high grade shrimp. I have the pond, which we won't even show you, but basically that's just where all the culls end up, where they get sold. There's another orange eye royal blue tiger tank that got started the same day as the last one I was just telling you about, but that one's there's about 20 juvies in there.
Yeah, they blend right
But
in.
they're black, so you're not seeing them at all. Nothing in that tank. That's a Sulawesi cardinal tank.
Oh, the reds?
Yep.
These guys are pretty, but
Yep, they're top shelf though, so they're hard to see.
scanning.
That's why I wanted to put a couple in the 75 over here so you can see them. They're generally swarmed all around the filter here, and they love to hide. These guys hide a lot.
You're also a little taller, so you could see in this tank.
Go to this tank. They're a lot more. This is my same Sulawesi card right over here. You got a bunch of them on the wood. There's a bunch there, a bunch of them on the wood. And ironically, this is the second tank I started with just babies about 4 months ago. And this tank is almost as high as numbers as the other tank, even though I did sell a bunch of tanks. I sold 20 of them out of the first tank to, I traded them to Jerry Asper from Shrimp Art for some Dancing Men shrimp that we're about to get to. But unfortunately, it was winter, and the Sulawesi require 82 degrees.
Yeah, they're a hot water.
Check the Inkbird, right on point, 82 degrees.
Now, what is that for those who don't know?
This Inkbird is a temperature controller. So basically, this gets down to the 10th of a degree, and it lets you plug in. So this is where my heater plugs in. So see that heater? We're not relying on the internal thermostat of that heater. That heater is turned on full power. Basically, if it's getting power from the outlet, it's on. And basically this has this temperature probe right there that measures the temperature much more sensitive and much more accurately than the heater. And so basically, and this way, even if the heater fails, if it fails on, it's not going to cook the shrimp because it's going to fail. It's going to raise the water temperature, and this is going to cut the power before it can cook them. So it's basically a safeguard for a shrimp tank with heater. My Sulawesi shrimp are the only shrimp I have heaters in the tank because they're the only ones that really need it.
I know my basement's a little colder than yours. Like my water's been reading 66 area on average, which is still really good.
Exactly, it's still great. Those are the Dancing Men I was talking about. There's a mixture of shrimp in there from Jerry Asford and David Pineta. And sorry for butchering your last name, David, but I don't know how to say it.
That's right, I'm real bad with names.
Yeah, but shout out some real nice shrimp. Those are my pure red line. I got those from Prudence, and those are Those are originally a Haverman Jackson cross. Matt Haverman's a very famous European breeder for pure red line. So those were not cheap shrimp right there, and they're gorgeous, and they definitely have a few. If you zoom in close, you'll see probably about 4 or 5 buried females in that tank, and
Ooh, there's a berry.
babies everywhere, and there's plenty on the way too. So I definitely have a couple tanks on the new rack reserved.
Yeah, for those who we were talking earlier, the best way to know a female is those eggs right there under the tail. All right, then what do we got over here? Oh, blue bolts.
Blue bolts. Bottom is extreme. If you check out the video of the unboxing, they were extremely blue. They definitely lost some of their blue. Like the blue bolts are color changers, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. And that's why when I lost my first batch, I waited so long to repurchase them because I didn't even know if I wanted to sell them. Because I feel like it's almost a customer service nightmare waiting to happen. Because since they are chameleons,
They color change
they
a lot.
color change. So I can see someone paying for extremes, sending them out, and then the customer not being happy because they're color changing, and they change based on whether they're buried, whether they're stressed, what they're eating. And there's just too many variables where I almost didn't want to deal with blue bolts because I just foresee a lot of customer complaints about the color not being what they expected it to be, even though and I'm not just talking about my blue bolts, like they could be award-winning blue bolts, the best blue bolts in the world, and the seller sells his best with best intentions of making the customer happy, and they just change color. Nothing you can do. Those are Nodacy. Those came from Selene. I won those from a Flip Aquatics auction. There's actually 3 gorgeous, gorgeous females in there. Top quality. They retail at $800 just for the trio. Originally, the auction was for a trio, 1 male, 2 females, and it turned out to be 3 females. So that just shows you how hard they are to sex. It even fooled myself and Rob over at Flip Aquatics of what sex they were. And then I picked up another trio of Nodacy from Win on an auction on Shrimp Haven.
Nice. What do we got here?
Those are more white ghost feet. That was the original colony. There were 10 in there to start, and they produced so much to start that other 10 gallon or 20 gallon that you already showed, plus everything in there.
Nice.
That's the tank of Royal Blue Tigers that's been producing so well that I was able to start the other 20 gallon and the other 10 gallon and the other 29 gallon that you're about to get to. But that tank was doing so well, and there's still, if you look, there's still tons of juvies in there. Like I will change nothing about that tank. It is just, and these are Orange Eye Royal Blue Tigers. These are Caridina. They're in Neo-Caridina primers.
They're what?
They're in Neo-Caridina water. High pH. High GH.
What is the GH on this one?
8. It's written right there on the
Oh,
tank.
wow.
It's a GH of 8. As you can see next to it, the Ghost Bee is 3 for comparison. The Nodacy are at 4. So,
Wow.
below them was another tank that I set up for cherries. They were dying, not doing very well in that other 20 gallon that has nothing in it. That they used to have these in it, but they were doing very bad. So I moved them
Anything
down,
in them?
and they're not doing so well. That's the mix. You moved on to the mixed Neo tank. I haven't been down there on my needs in a while, which is the downfall of having bottom shelf tanks. I'm phasing out of Neos except for Blue Dreams.
Yeah.
Just because my Blue Dreams are doing so well and all my other ones have been slowly dying out, which is crazy because my Caridina, as you can see, there's babies and juvies and they're buried and they're breeding like crazy. And my Caridina, that's another Orange Eye Royal Blue Tiger tank, 29 gallon, juvies everywhere. So I bought 20 to start. I put 15 in this tank, or 14 in the tank you're looking at now, and 6 in the 10 gallon that you just showed. And the 6 from the 10 gallon, have produced more than the 14 in that tank,
Wow.
which is kind of crazy. And they're the exact same parameters. Oh, this one's 1 GH higher, and actually I don't think that was accurate. I think I forgot to change that down to 8 after I dropped it to GH.
And the last tank we got here.
There's zebra Balties. Those are also Caridina in Neocaridina parameters. Those are orange eye, which makes them a little special. Not all of the zebra Balti are orange eye, especially now that they're becoming super popular. I don't know why, but they're exploding. Everyone's loving them. And
No, I know this tank is usually packed.
it is. They're blending in because, like I said, I fed powdered food this morning. They're normally all right here because that's where I normally drop the grazing food pellets, and that's where they normally conjugate. But since this morning I did the powdered food, they're all going to be
All about.
They're all and they're blending in. They're like crazy.
Yeah. These guys are master of camo.
Oh yeah. And even with like the orange eye is usually what gives them away, and not even like I can say if I had the kind that didn't have the orange eye, like I don't even think I'd be able to see them at all. I mean, check, this tank is full of babies, like absolutely jam packed with babies. They're just so hard to. There's one right there. See, we were. How long was that on the screen?
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back and look because how long was that on the screen before we even saw it? It had to move before we saw it. It's like Predator.
All right. So we're gonna head out. Talked about what we got going on. I'm gonna have to do something that my daughter yelled at me for not doing or not YouTubing properly. I gotta say, if you actually like my videos, comment, like, subscribe, please. Start growing this a little bit larger, and I can try to get more videos and more fun stuff involved.
Share. And even if you don't like it, like, subscribe, do all that stuff anyway.
Yeah, share it.
Even if you hated it, do all that anyway.
All right. Have a good night, guys. How do I turn this?